I'm both excited and apprehensive to do these videos on C-sections because I want to be hurt, but also it is really difficult and I feel kind of sick just thinking about talking about it. But at the end of the day, this video is about hope and healing, which you will get. As much healing as I have done, as much of the PTSD and trauma work as I have done, it is still very difficult to get through this next part, which is describing what happened. And I have to describe what happened in order to give you the healing process. So here we go. I'm intersex. I was forced into breeding for SRA groups growing up. I had many traumatic C-sections, all of them without anesthetic. You can look up surgery videos on YouTube and basically just imagine what that's like. They have technology in the tunnels and in these networks to remove all traces of the surgery happening, so there's no scarring. However, what they fail to tell us is that even if scar tissue is removed, there is still damage at the cellular level. If you still feel like there's still a knife going through that area of your body and it's really difficult for you to wear pants and belts, it's because your body is still damaged. All they're interested in is removing any visible trace of what happened, and so you're left to deal with the fact that your body's still very, very hurt. So I am miles ahead of where I used to be, and I wanted to share the 3 components that have gotten me to where I am today. So the 3 components of healing C-section damage are energy work, massage and loving touch, and herbs. So let's start with the energy work. In our visualizations, we're going to address the incision sites. We're going to sew all the layers up back together. We're going to remove any adhesions that have formed and clean up the spaces in between these layers. We're going to address any crush injury syndrome that has appeared. We're going to clear fluid from between the layers and any traumatic energy. And it's really important to remember that even though there's no physical, visible trace of the injury anymore, your body is still telling you that there is injury. So the great thing about energy work, as opposed to physical surgery, is that you do not have to be perfect. As long as the intention is clear and the visualization is good enough, the body's going to respond. So let's start by taking a deep breath in and exhale. Come into an awareness of your uterus area and C-section scar area. We're going to start with the uterus. First, I want you to place a hand on your belly and just communicate with your uterus and tell it, I see you, I know you've been hurting, it's okay and it's not your fault. And then what you're going to do is visualize the uterus and any cuts, tears, and scar tissue and damage. We're going to sew them all up. Take a little etheric needle and sew all of the rips and tears together. Visualize them healing, forming scar tissue, and then the scar tissue disappearing with a pop, and any old scar tissue that's left. Imagine pulsing high frequency energy through that scar tissue until it starts to shrink and disappear. Now examine the thickness of the uterus. If there are any places where it's too thick or too thin, we're going to imagine the places where it's too thin getting thicker. And imagine where the places where it's too thick, imagine it getting thinner. So we're going to even out all of the surface, all of the layers of the uterus. Now, as if we've just been opened up for a C-section, we're going to start with the muscle that's on top of the uterus, which is the next layer, and then we're going to go through all the layers and stitch them back up. So starting with the muscle, just imagine the 2 sides of the muscle coming together. Make your little stitches in the ether. And imagine the incision just closing up, forming scar tissue, and then the scar tissue disappearing with a pop. Next is the fascia layer, which is like a white spider web. Again, imagine the two sides on either side of the cut coming together, sew it up, scar tissue forms, and then heals and disappears. And then we'll go for the fat layers. Again, the two sides of the incision coming together, sew it up, it heals into scar tissue shrinks and disappears. Next is the layers of skin. So for each layer of skin, you can do maybe like 2 or 3. Again, you don't have to be perfect with the energy work. So again, bring the two sides together, sew it up, scar tissue forms, scar tissue disappears. Next, let's clear the adhesions, the little bits of scar tissue that will have formed between these layers, allowing them to be kind of like stuck together, and it wouldn't let the layers slip past each other like they normally would, and so you're going to feel a lot of tightening in the belly because of that. So what we'll do is visualize any little white pieces of like chewing gum type material stuck between these layers. What we're going to do is pulse high frequency energy in between our hands, and imagine that your hand is on either side of those layers of skin and muscle and fat, and pulse that energy in, and just watch as those adhesions start to vibrate and start breaking apart and melting away. And so just imagine all those layers getting loose and starting to move freely, because all of these adhesions are getting loose and breaking away. So now we'll want to clear any fluid or any trauma energy that's been trapped between these layers. So imagine getting a pressure hose and sending bright blue healing energy through all of these layers. And it's almost gel-like. Send it all the way through, and it's like a lubricant between the layers so they can move freely. And now visualize any dark energy that is just sitting there stagnant. We're going to take a vacuum hose and suck all of those pockets of trauma energy up. And also any shock energy, which is going to show up as like a white TV static type material. Imagine it turning to dry ice, and imagine pushing it out of your system and vanishing it into thin air. So now that we've done all this work, the final step is to send pink light through our entire system. Send it through your reproductive system, through the areas that have been cut, through all of those areas that are now healed. And again, I want you to put your hands on your belly and send the thought, it's not your fault. You are free. It's not your fault. And send love to your babies too. The ones that are no longer here, and the ones that may be here, the ones that you know are here. And send them love. Go to part 2 for the next protocols.